everybody. Thank you for coming and welcome to Unpacking Music AI. My name is Edward Balasanyan. I'm the CEO and founder of Aimi. Music AI has come to the forefront as one of the final creative mediums left to broadly adopt AI. Today, we'll start off by looking at some examples of AI in other creative mediums, and then we'll look into some of the reasons why music AI is especially hard. Amy's been looking at these challenges for over 4 years now, and we'll share some of our insights with the audience today. And then we'll take a look at how Amy's approach has allowed us to turn music into a service rather than an artifact. After that, we'll see some demonstrations of applications that Amy has built on top of this platform, and then we'll take some questions. Generative AI came to the forefront with text. It's now been broadly adopted by the industry, and we see it being used everywhere where generating, synthesizing, or analyzing text is useful. The use of AI for generating images has also become pervasive, with broad-based acceptance and adoption of the use of AI for this medium. And generative AI for video is now coming to the forefront as well, and it's clear we'll see AI used similarly in video production. So what about music AI or generative AI in the music space in general? Why has it taken longer to be adopted as broadly? It's important to understand that this lack of adoption is not because of a lack of opportunity. It's clear opportunity exists. Music cuts across nearly every industry. Beyond the traditional applications for music, generative music can add value to other verticals as well, like gaming, automotive, video production, consumer retail, and publishing, etc. It's clear that generative music is a large-scale opportunity. But for music ML to succeed, there's a few requirements that need to be met. One is broad-based adoption, which normalizes us to the use of AI so we no longer see it overtly as controversial or experimental. Another requirement for this type of adoption is having a clear path to commercialization. For Gen AI companies to succeed, the value they create has to exceed the cost of providing that value. We hit that inflection point in 2023 with text and images, which has led to the exponential growth of these platforms. Music, on the other hand, has for decades been relegated to a handful of monetization models that are largely based on the number of listens. This lack of flexibility has made it harder to create profitable music services. Beyond broad-based adoption, these solutions need to be both ethical and legal. And this is where music AI is especially challenging. Music uniquely has a large body of industry incumbents who vigorously protect the status quo for copyright. And music uniquely has one of the most complex copyright landscapes of any creative medium. In addition to the complexity within the copyright law itself, this complexity is exponentially increased by discrepancies between international bodies. At the same time, music also has a unique association between artists, creators, and fans that demands additional attention to the ethicality of music AI applications. So let's take a look at some of the challenges inherent in music as a medium, an art form, a consumable, and a service. When we started looking at the applications of AI and music, one of the first challenges we had to tackle was its multidimensional nature. Using machine learning to listen to finished music is like asking a chef to walk up to a bowl of soup, taste it, and then try to recreate the recipe. Soup is much more than the chemicals that make up its taste, just like music is much more than sound. A good soup is made from a carefully crafted recipe with high-quality ingredients, and the order those ingredients are put in and what is done to them is a significant part of what makes the soup taste the way it does. Similarly, music is layered, meaning different elements, instruments, sounds, and effects are combined, mixed, and sequenced based on a style or genre. Just like French cooking is different than Italian cooking, the way you mix and sequence hip-hop is very different than the way you mix techno. And these kinds of stylistic differences matter in the way music sounds. Another challenge inherent in music is that it's both art and math. There is a truth to music that is universally understood, and while it is a creative medium, these truths bind the creative expression of music enough that ignoring them or not understanding them results in poor quality. This combination of art and science is less prevalent in mediums like text and images and video. It also means that music is significantly harder to get right. And that's why it's important to understand that when we're talking about music, bad music is truly bad. Here's an example of music that's off key. These are obviously hard to listen to, and that's because, as numerous studies have shown, bad audio quality is distressing to listeners. In fact, if you play good video with bad audio quality, viewers will not watch. However, if you play high quality audio with poor quality video, people will still watch. This further amplifies the fact that listener tolerance to noise in audio is much lower than in text, images, or video. And this tolerance isn't just about the correctness of the music. It also applies to the mix, the arrangement, the style, all of which need to be coherent. If you're listening to a hip-hop song that's not mixed correctly, you will be as unlikely to listen to it as if it was off-key. Music also presents unique technical challenges. We realized early on that monolithic models will struggle with long-form structure, meaning they will have a hard time creating music that tells a story over time. This is exacerbated by the fact that music has much greater density than text, and the computational load is therefore significantly higher. As a result, music has a much greater financial cost, and this cost increases with quality demands. And if you consider this within the context of trying to generate music that scales with user growth, the system starts to collapse on itself. Dataset challenges are one of the biggest pain points for music ML. Monolithic neural nets are data hungry and require high-quality data sets. This is especially challenging in music because the readily licensable catalogs like stock music libraries lack the kind of music quality and contemporary sound that is a prerequisite for training a monolithic music model. Even if you're able to find a large corpus of songs, training a model on this dataset can create its own legal quagmire. Royalties are inherent in the music industry, so clear documentation of data provenance is critical as well. This is where monolithic neural nets struggle, since it's difficult to reason about the inputs to a large language model and how they impact the outputs. And finally, but arguably most importantly, are the legal challenges. The music industry, as I said, has a large body of industry incumbents who vigorously protect and defend copyright. Asking for forgiveness has not been proven to be an effective way to license music. We've seen again and again that companies that are belligerent or ignorant about licensing requirements end up with financially devastating lawsuits or relegating themselves to having to negotiate licenses in a court of law. It's also clear that even if there is sufficient motivation for licensing bodies and the music ML companies to do a deal, the rights landscape is complex enough that the legal framework will take a prohibitively long time to put in place. And that doesn't account for the fact that copyright law is significantly inconsistent globally. So let's take a look at how Aimi navigated some of these challenges. For those of you who don't know us, Aimi was founded 4 years ago. AI is the underpinning of our vision and the basis for our name. In fact, Aimi stands for the AI Music Initiative. When we started to look at how to turn music into a service, we first outlined some goals that we wanted to achieve. The first one was data provenance. It's critical to us that any training we did and do is both ethical and legal, and that we can determine the provenance for all of our data. This was not just lip service. Aimi has roughly 40 employees, the vast majority of whom have backgrounds in music. We care about music as an art form, and we care about how our technology will impact artists and the creative community. The second was the quality of our data. Our bar has always been that Aimi needs to create good to great music. It was not enough for us to create music that was okay to good. We all know the world does not need any more music spam. Another critical requirement for us was modularity. What we mean by this is to target all aspects of music creation, not just the finished product. This includes mixing and arranging based on stylistic constraints. As part of this, we wanted to expand these controls to the end user. This allows creators to have fine-grained control and input into the generation of music. We call this high-precision generation. Lastly, we wanted music generation to be capable of running as a service, as well as being compact and portable enough to run on edge devices. This would allow music to be generated on device for applications like games that require low latency and high efficiency solutions. To understand how Aimi makes music, it's important to understand the difference between creation and imitation. If you train models solely on finished music, the best you will likely do is imitate what you hear. But we didn't want to create a tool for imitating music. We wanted to create a platform to create music. To achieve this, we built our AI to understand how music is created, meaning our AI understands the structure of music, and this allows us to create music from the bottom up like a producer would. This further allows us to be much more nuanced and sophisticated in the output of the music that Aimi generates. It also means that Aimi does not need to train on finished music, so we can proudly say our AI is both ethically and legally trained. Pulling all this together necessitated looking at music ML differently. Rather than having one monolithic model, Aimi has over 7 that are involved in all aspects of music creation. In addition to these models, we have built Aimi Script, a novel programming language for generative music. Aimi Script provides us with a domain-specific language that allows for programmatic control of mixing, arranging, and sequencing. It also provides a complete framework for content management, analysis, system configuration, and integration with other systems. If you want to see an example of how we've integrated Aimi Script with external systems, please stop by Aimi Theater tomorrow, where we're showcasing an immersive theater experience that combines generative visuals with generative music in a 500 square foot, fully projection mapped world. Together, these systems allow us to generate music on demand that rivals handcrafted music in quality in virtually any genre. Once we had developed this platform, we then set out to build generative music applications that would showcase the power of our platform. Let's take a look at some of these applications. During the last South by Southwest, we launched the Aimi Interactive Player, which was built on top of our platform. This app allows fans to interact with continuous streams of generative music that are created on device in real time. Leveraging our platform, we were able to add interactivity to virtually every aspect of music creation. This level of interactivity allows fans to collaborate in real time with Aimi, making music something that's played for you instead of at you. In addition to this unprecedented level of interactivity, we expanded the compositions to include vocals in dozens of languages that are seamlessly mixed with instruments and effects. We also broke out of the electronic music umbrella and added genres like reggaeton, lo-fi, trap, and hip-hop, expanding our reach to the most popular genres in the world. The second application that we took on was a creator tool called Aimi Studio. Okay, so let's take a look at Aimi Studio. You can see here that I've got Aimi Studio open and I'm looking at a reggaeton experience that I created. The way Aimi organizes the sounds that make up the reggaeton experience is by putting them into groups. We have harmony, tops, bass, beats, pads, melody, effects. This probably looks familiar because it's the same organization that the player uses. And effectively what I do with Studio is I create this multidimensional universe of sounds that can then be explored by Aimi. And when I listen to it on the player, I can actually interact with those sounds in real time. But Studio gives me a little bit more control. I can actually jump into any one of these groups. I can see all the different sounds in there. And I can also preview them. And if I like them or want to remove them, I'm able to do that right from this interface. Sounds like a beat from reggaeton. I can also go and browse the universe of sounds that Aimi has available and really personalize this experience by adding new sounds to it as well. Aimi will help me find clusters of sounds that are organized around different genres of music. So even if I don't know or have the ability to hear a sound and imagine how it would sound together with other sounds in a reggaeton setting, Aimi will make that easier for me. Once I find sounds I like, either here in the Explorer or inside of my browser, where I can see them in more of a traditional format, I then add them into my experience, and from there I can preview my experience. You can see these red dots that light up when the experience starts, like right there. That's the playing sound right now. This helps me really dig in deep and identify sounds while they're playing to determine which ones I want to add or remove from the system. And finally, when I have the sound just where I like it, I can go back to my home page and I can publish it right from here. And this allows me to publish it to the community so that my fans, my friends, and other community members can enjoy this interactive experience that I've created. With millions of sounds within our vault, it's really easy to create truly personalized and unique experiences. And while Aimi does provide you with a lot of guidance to ensure that you can create something without a lot of music background, you can also remove the guardrails and dive in and create your own concoctions that might or might not sound good, and really experiment. With these applications as a proof point for both the flexibility and power of the platform we built, we were now ready to launch Aimi Music Services. Aimi Music Services provides generative music as a service. It does so and generates music on demand with high precision across dozens of genres. This means that music can now be thought of as a service rather than as an artifact. Aimi Music Services is available to creators in a Pro Edition, allowing them to easily make music across dozens of genres and with a high degree of precision. Aimi Music Services is also available in an Enterprise Edition, allowing enterprises to integrate on-demand music as a service directly into their products, platforms, and services. And for businesses that want to incorporate music with zero configuration, Aimi Music Services is available in live streams through standard internet radio protocols. By offering music as a service instead of a product, we are able to monetize the service instead of trying to monetize listens. This means the music generated by Aimi Music Services can be offered 100% royalty-free and 100% copyright-free. Let's take a look at Aimi Music Services. What you're seeing here is the Pro Edition, which is available on a monthly subscription, and you can access it at song.musicservices.aimi.fm. So on the left is the prompt interface, and on the right is what we call the plan. The plan is essentially Aimi suggesting a plan for the song that it's going to create based on my inputs. And then you can see that I can interact with this plan. I can expand the various elements in here. Can review the entirety of the plan. I can change how many beats are in each section. I can change the BPM. I can switch from one key to another key. I really get full creative control over what I want to do here. So let's go ahead and make a new plan. We're going to do reggaeton this time. And I can also have the interface over here instead of having the conversation over here. So what I'd like to do now is I'm going to add a section between the intro and the verse. I'm going to put in a build up. And the reason I'm doing this is I'd like to have a more gradual development to the verse. So because reggaeton is so defined by its rhythm, I'm going to hold off on the rhythm until after the intro section. So I'm going to remove the rhythm here. You can see the rhythm gets added here, and we've got percussion, which then drops out in the verse, but I'd like to have that stay consistent. So I'll put the percussion in here as well. And then we go into the chorus, and then we go into a bridge, another chorus, and then an outro. And I actually would like the outro to just be harmony and rhythm. Okay, so let's go ahead and produce this song. And while this is chugging away, let's go listen to some songs that I made right before the talk started. So the first one, going back to our original roots in electronic music, is a techno song. Okay, let's try another genre. So this one is kind of an indie, chill pop song. We'll let this one play for a little bit. You can hear the different layers coming in. It's really important to pay attention to how nuanced all of the different layering and mixing is. This is not music built from the top down, it's music built from the bottom up. You'll notice also that each of these has a different length to them, and I get complete control over that. Earlier, I used the term high precision. This is what we mean by high precision, being able to have direct input into the entire process of composition. All right, let's try one more genre here. This time hip hop. This is in the boom bap style of hip hop, which uses short vocal loops and puts them in a repeating pattern, bringing them in and out over the course of the song. Okay, so let's go back and take a look at our reggaeton song. It's ready now. So we have an intro with a bass and a harmony, and then we go into a build-up and a verse. So let's just let this play through and follow the sections as they unfold. Now remember, we only had bass and harmony in the intro, and reggaeton is really defined by its rhythm. So right now, it's not really clear what genre this music is. And there comes that quintessential reggaeton rhythm. And what's really empowering about this is I, as a music creator, don't have to know the nuances of reggaeton. I just let Amy make the song for me, giving it as much or as little guidance as I want. So after the build-up, we pop in the melody. This time it's a vocal, and that'll continue on into the chorus. Okay, let's jump forward in the song a bit. Towards the end, listen to the last section. So you can hear I caught the end of the outro, and it has a nice fade out, as you would expect from an outro. And it's really that simple to create music. The Pro Edition will be available on a monthly subscription, as I mentioned, and because we're providing this as a service, we charge for the service, not the music, meaning that the music that comes out of Aimi Music Services is yours to do with as you please. There is no copyright. In other words, the music that Aimi Music Services makes is 100% copyright free, and it is also royalty free. So we do not try to track or charge percentages of royalties that are generated from the music that Aimi Music Services creates. It's also worth pointing out that the music that Aimi Music Services makes is not copyrightable as part of the terms of services. And this is deliberate on our part. We don't want the music that Aimi is making to be copyrighted, and this helps separate and distinguish music created by machines versus music created by people. This is a breakthrough for creators. You're not spending your time engineering music. You're spending your time creating music. Thank you.